Well, hi, everyone. This is Charles Bass with the USD Alumni Association, presenting USD Chats with Charles, a chance to visit with alumni from all over to hear their story and build community among toreros. Today, it's my pleasure to visit with Edred Utomi from the class of 2013. If you're a fan of San Diego theater, you may have seen Edred in a variety of roles where he no doubt stood out. The San Diego Union Tribune talks about his obvious talent, pointing particularly to his work in My Mañana Comes with the San Diego Repertory Theater. And not too long ago, Edred moved to another place that has a pretty good reputation for theater, and that's New York City. And if you're going to go big, why not go for the biggest? That's what Edred did, landing standby roles and eventually the ultimate starring role, portraying Alexander Hamilton in the National Touring Company performing the Broadway smash hit Hamilton. Edred, welcome and thanks for taking time to chat.
What an intro. Wow. Thank you. That was amazing. Thanks so much.
To be honest, I was reading and I knew that you were in the play, in the musical, on the touring show, and I have not yet seen it, but I read somewhere I think in the San Diego newspaper that you were sheltering in place in Chula Vista with your family.
Yeah.
And that's where this light popped in my head that maybe you'll have time for this. So first of all, how are you doing and how's your family?
I'm good. I'm good. The family's good. No one's sick. We've been staying indoors essentially 24 hours a day, other than like walking to the backyard to get some sun. But yeah, we're all good. I have some of my family's up in LA, and then the rest of us are down in San Diego, but everyone's healthy. Everyone's feeling good. So.
Oh, that's great. Glad to hear that news. By the way, a friend did ask if there would be powdered wigs in this conversation, and I said that I brought my own, but
I left mine on tour, so can't wear it.
All right. So you got to perform as the lead role, Alexander Hamilton, for just a few weeks before everything got shut down. How was it going, and how are you doing?
I have actually been doing it since 2019. So I've been doing it for a year and some change. As full-time ham. It was good, you know. It was a crazy time when we shut down. We were in Miami, and I think we shut down the Thursday, that Thursday in March. That Wednesday was when like the NBA and Disney World and Disneyland, they all shut down. So going into our last show, we knew it was just a matter of time. We knew that either that was our last night or Friday would be the last night or whatever, but we knew it was coming. We didn't realize we'd be out for this long. Originally, it was like 2 weeks. We'll be back in 2 weeks. We're going to skip Jacksonville, one city, and then we'll be back. Or they'll like, we'll let you know. And then we ended up canceling Jacksonville, St. Louis, which was a 5-week. And we're like, okay, we'll be back in Atlanta. We canceled Atlanta, which was 5 weeks. So like, okay, we'll be back in Fort Worth. We canceled Fort Worth, which was like 3 weeks. And then recently we just canceled Houston. So now we're waiting to hear about Denver, which will be in August 11th. So we're here. I'm here in San Diego, kicking it with my fam, seeing my niece when I can, just relaxing, resting the vocal cords.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you're safe. And I do have some friends, if you have any say, I do have some friends in Denver that already have their tickets. And so they're ready. They're ready to see you. And they might even have a ticket for me. So I want to see it.
Yes, come on down. Denver, well, I'm really hoping we don't skip Denver. Denver was my first city ever on tour in 2018. So it holds a special place in my heart. That's where I debuted when I was still a standby. So I really want to go back to Denver. We'll see, you know.
My friends that saw it or that have the tickets saw it. So clearly you did a great job. They're going back for
thanks
seconds.
For coming back. I appreciate the support. Tell them that.
All right. So the story of Hamilton has been an international phenomenon. And one thing that really struck me is that the founding fathers are all white, but the Hamilton cast is very diverse. So what's it like bringing to life this story based on such an iconic figure within the context of such a diverse cast?
I mean, there's a lot of ways to answer that. As like a person, I think it's important, you know, to see the way it's built it's the telling of America then with the people of America now, you know. So I think it's important to kind of claim this history as a history for all people, as opposed to a history for a certain demographic of people, you know. So I think that is important. As an artist, I think it's important to same thing, representation, to see people who look like you on stage. You know, I know growing up when I was still learning about musical theater and still trying to find musicals that I connected with and that I loved, I would be drawn to, like, my favorite musical is In the Heights, which was Lin-Manuel Miranda's first show, you know. And I remember when I saw it, I was like, I've never seen anything like this. I've never seen people who look like me in lead roles, you know, other than Lion King. But there's not a lot of shows like that, you know. So I think it's important for that aspect as well. You know, I think it's really, I know there's a lot of people who come to the stage door after the show who are like, my son like wants to do theater and never thought he could, and like now that he's seen you all, like he believes that he can, or my daughter believes that they can't, you know. And it's like, that's why we do it, you know. Like that's why we do what we do. So that's always, you know, that's always like good to hear. But yeah, I think those representation of it is really important, you know, and the claiming of it as a history for all. And I think people get that message, hopefully, if we do our job right.
Yeah, well, you've been doing it for over a year,
Yeah.
so I'd say you're doing your job right. So you brought him up, so let me ask. Lin-Manuel Miranda wrote this play.
Yeah.
The first time I saw anything about Hamilton was when he performed. I saw a recording of him performing at the White House. He's talking about this musical idea that's a rap. It's got a lot of rap in it, and it's about the founding fathers. And you're like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
That sounds weird.
It was a long time ago. Yeah, when he first pitched that.
Yeah, and so it turns out it's a hit. I don't know if you knew that, but it worked.
No, I heard it.
So talk about now. You are Hamilton. You're doing it. You've got the hat on. You're him.
I do. So people know who I am.
What talk about filling the role, not filling the footsteps, but you're stepping in and making the role your own. So
yeah,
how's that been?
I mean, Lin is one of my idols, you know, so to step into a role that he's been in and of itself is a honor and a pleasure, you know. At the same time, it's like a daunting task sometimes. I'm like, Lin did this. And I know a lot of people who are obsessed with this show have a love for the original cast of any show, but specifically for this show. So a lot of the time, I know that there's the pressure of like, I hope I do a good job because people are going to be comparing me to Lin, and Lin created it, you know. But I think for me as an artist, that was at the back of my mind when I first took over. But moving forward, I was like, this is my interpretation of it. You know, I'm not, no actor you see on stage who takes over after a Broadway show or as a replacement is doing an imitation. You know, like I'm not out there doing an imitation of Lin doing a version of Hamilton. You know, like I'm doing my own version. So in the way that I process it, in the way that I analyze the text or whatever, different life experiences I bring to it, you know? So yeah, after you get past the initial, like, I'm playing the role that Lin is playing, you know, then it's like, okay, let me do this thing. Let me break down this character the way that I've broken down characters for years and have it this person who actually lived, you know, and do it justice in the way that I know how to. So yeah.
So young, scrappy, and hungry. It's a line from one of the big numbers, My Shot in Hamilton. And now we haven't met, you and I, other than via Zoom. But if someone was to tell me they're going to leave San Diego, go to New York City, and find their way onto the biggest musical hit in many years on Broadway, I'm assuming that young, scrappy, and hungry would play a factor in that.
Yeah,
correct?
Yeah, I'd say so. You know, I definitely was I mean, I'm still young. I wouldn't say that I'm old now, but I was younger when I booked it. I was definitely scrappy. And yeah, I was hungry. I just moved to New York and we didn't have that much money yet. So I was definitely hungry. No, I'm kidding. No, but I had just moved to New York. And this was kind of like one of my early auditions. Like I moved to New York with my brother, and then I was back and forth in San Diego and there. I spent more time here. I was doing 2 final shows. I was doing Pump Up the Volume at San Diego Musical Theater and How the Grinch Stole Christmas at the Globe in 2017. And then 2018, January, I was like, all right, I'm here full time. I'm going to be auditioning. I had a new agent. He sent me out for 2 things. One was Sister Act at Westchester Broadway Theater, which I booked, and the other was Hamilton. So I didn't spend a lot of time there, you know. So yeah, I was definitely hungry, you know, for the next opportunity for sure.
Well, that's a great, not rags to riches, but it's like to be in New York for just a short time to get the 2 bookings like
Crazy.
That
It was truly blessed. Yeah.
That's amazing. So how did you know you wanted to go into theater?
I have 2 defining moments in my life. in which I was like, oh, this is it. When I first started theater in high school, I was a straight actor, or I was just doing plays. I wasn't doing musicals yet. I always had a love for musicals, but I didn't grow up singing. Like I sung every now and then in like middle school choir, but like I was like, this isn't enough. So I don't have a Broadway voice. And so my freshman year, I asked my brother, who's older than me, who was a senior at the time, I was like, what's an easy A class? He was like, theater. I was like, great. So I took it. My junior year, we got a new theater teacher, and she like inspired us all. She was like, how are you guys in theater? You don't all audition for the plays. Like, what? And we're like, oh, I don't know. So we auditioned for it. I booked a role in the show, and like loved it. I was like, this is what I want to do with my life. I come from an immigrant Nigerian family. My parents are from Nigeria. Three of my siblings are from Nigeria. And so when I told them I want to be an actor, they were like, you want to be a doctor? I'm like, no, I want to be an actor. They're like, you want to be a lawyer? I'm like, I want to be an actor. And so it took a little bit of convincing, right? And so after my freshman year, that was the first defining moment, was getting the new teacher. My second defining moment was after my freshman year of college at USD. I was working on campus during the summer, and I went to go see In the Heights that was touring at the San Diego Civic Center. And that I was like, this is it. This is what I want to do with my life. Like it was like the clearest thing, like I was enlightened. I was like, oh, like this is how I can turn it into like a profession, because before that I was just like, I just want to act. I don't know how, I don't know where, but after I saw that, I was like, oh, not only do I want to act and sing, but I want to be, first of all, in this musical, and two, I want to do music like and work like this. So Hamilton's a good, I think, good substitute, since
Yeah.
In the Heights isn't on Broadway right now.
Yeah, that's true. It's true. Has Lynn, now that I'm a professional media guy, I can call him Lynn.
Yeah.
Has he given you advice on the role?
He came to see the show, our company, in Detroit sometime in 2019. I don't remember exactly what, like March or April, around that time, around Easter time. And yeah, he gave some advice. I asked him for like feedback and notes. He doesn't normally, like I think he's like, he lets people do their thing.
Sure.
But like I asked my resident director who travels with us, like, hey, can you reach out to him and just see if he has any pointers? And he gave me a couple things to like think about and to work on. I was like, cool. Thank you so much. Like, oh my gosh, Lynn's giving me notes. But yeah, it was cool. But he's that man's a genius. When he came to see it, we like had a night where he kind of took us all out, and we just sat and talked, and he told us crazy stories, and we just talked about everything. It was great. He's a really, really sweet guy.
That's great to hear. I mentioned I haven't seen it yet, but I downloaded when I heard about this opportunity. I downloaded the album, and it's just so you just get energized listening to it. And you talked about being in high school when you jumped into the play. I was in a play in 6th grade, and I had about 2 lines, and it
Sure.
got real jazzed up. Talk about the energy it takes to get yourself fired up to be in this 3-hour performance and to not carry it, but carry it a little bit.
To stay energized the whole time. That was, that's one of the things that for me about this show is that I love it. There's not a lot of shows that I don't think I could travel with for like a year or more, but I have a love for this show that is deep. And so like every time, like I could be exhausted coming to the theater because we have 8 show weeks, and Hamilton's do 7 out of 8. So like 2 show days on Saturday, 2 show days on Sundays. And I could get to the second show on a Saturday or a Sunday at the end of the week and be really tired. And then the second that dun, 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 hits, I'm like, game time, let's do it. There's something about it. There's something about the music that is just like, I just feel it in my bones and it gets me excited. There's something about the hype of the audiences. There's a lot of people in the audiences have waited years to see it, especially on tour, because maybe they didn't have enough money to fly to New York for Broadway, or they're waiting for it to come, so we get that a lot at the stage door. It's like, this is my Christmas present in 2016. I'm like, well, great, like, thanks for coming out. So there's a lot of that energy, there's a lot of that anticipation, and like we kind of feed off of that, like we definitely feed off of that. Sometimes like we have a little pre-show announcement before the dun, 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 and like people will be cheering during that, and we're like, it's gonna be a good audience, like we're gonna have fun today, and they're laughing and they're cheering throughout, and sometimes when Washington comes out, they cheer. When the King comes out, they cheer. When I come out, they cheer. So it's something that it keeps you energized like, even if you're having a rough day, even if you're tired, even if you're, you know, like you don't want to be there, the second the music hits, you're like, oh, I want to be here. There's nowhere else I'd rather be, you know.
Yeah, it stops becoming a job at that point. It's
Oh yeah,
back to
for
your
sure.
passion.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and then the show comes down and you're exhausted because it's a 3 hour marathon, you know. And I have a lot of words to say, and I have a lot of like crying to do, and there's a lot, you know, there's a lot of breath control. My abs hurt, but like at the end of it, I'm like, oh, what a day. I'm fulfilled. This is great. This is the best day, you know. So yeah, it's definitely a journey for sure.
that's awesome. Do you have a favorite song or a favorite part of the musical?
Mm, it kind of switches depending. I don't know what it's depending on, but before tour ended, I was in a Yorktown phase. I'm normally in a Yorktown phase. Yorktown is a number, is something like, you haven't seen it, but the performance number of Yorktown is like next level amazing. Like on the soundtrack, it is still amazing, but the like, I remember first time I saw it, I was like, oh my God, I gotta be in this. Like I was freaking out. Like it was the best thing ever. It's yeah, that number is something else. I love My Shot because it's like it's Hamilton's first big, you know, I was like, let me get this out of the way. But also like I get to do this. Like it's a dope rap part. As an actor, as a thespian, I enjoy quite it's Quiet Uptown sometimes, you know. Like that number has a very like fond place in my heart because I like to do all the like rapping and all the like swag parts, but also it's fun to like strip it all down. And like the performance of it, it's just me and her on stage, you know. So it's just like, well, there's other people on the outskirts, but like center stage is just me and her, you know. So it's very stripped down, and there's very like everything else falls away. It's not about the audience. It's not about any of that. It's just about the like moment, which is nice. So
That's great. Did you actually perform rap ever before getting this part?
no, I mean I grew up listening to it. I'm sure a lot of people in the cast did. You know, I grew up listening to. I couldn't listen to any of the ones with bad words, or I had to like do it in private because my parents wouldn't buy those CDs. You know, but oh, I hope they don't watch this. Who knows? But yeah, like my older brothers would like make me listen to Eminem or some Jay-Z or Nas or Cannabis or, you know, any of the rappers of the 90s in the early 2000s. So like yeah, I definitely grew up listening to it, but never performed it for money or professionally or in any other show because there's no other rap shows really. Well, there's a couple, but none that I was in New York for at the time. So
So have your parents have they seen it, and what do they think? And then they okay with you making the choice of actor over doctor or
they're
lawyer?
good. They're good with it now. They're good with it now. And they came around pretty quick. After college, when I started working pretty consistently, they were like, oh, okay, like you can make a career out of this. You're good. But yeah, they saw it. All three of my brothers and my sister were able to come out to my debut in Denver, March 13th, 2018. So yeah, they came out and saw my debut in Denver, which was really cool. Um, yeah, that was a special day. It was a
That's
special day
awesome.
for sure. Yeah.
And to think that you know, you've been in other plays and you've done other great work, but your star maker role is
Yeah.
Hamilton, this immigrant who came and kind of helped create the United States of America.
Yeah.
And you are a son of immigrants. They must have just been beside themselves, beaming with
Yeah,
pride.
it's yeah, they're happy about it. They definitely tell all their friends randomly. They're like, "Oh, my son's Hamilton." They're like, "What?" I didn't ask, but no,
Uh,
they don't. But they're definitely proud of me. They're definitely proud of me, and they've come out to see it a couple times. Them and my siblings have also come out in different times on tour to come see it. So, which is nice.
that's great. Obviously, we don't want you to leave Hamilton anytime soon,
Yeah.
especially before I get to see it. But what's another role that you are thinking about, or what would you love to play? What's another role
Oh, I have
that you want to make a
so
start
many
on?
dream roles currently on Broadway. There's a musical called Ain't Too Proud. It's the like essentially the life and times of the Temptations,
Right.
and I saw it. They were in DC in like tryouts previews. I don't know the exact term, but I think out of town tryouts before Broadway, and we were in DC for 3 months at the time. They were at the theater adjacent to us, and so I was still a standby then. So one night I was able to go and watch because I was technically still in the building, which was great. And they also invited us to like their dress, and I was like, "Oh, this show is amazing! Like this is something else." So I would love to play David Ruffin in that show. I've kind of thought I was like, if there's ever a role to leave Hamilton for, I don't know if it's that one, but that's like close to it. I don't know if there's a single role out there I would leave for, but yeah, I definitely have some roles on the dream list. You know, I want to play Simba in Lion King because Lion King holds a very special place in my heart. I want to play Benny and In the Heights if there's any revival anytime soon of that. I want to play Jack Kelly in Newsies, Emmett Forrest in Legally Blonde because I love that show. It's amazing. Um, Cole House and Ragtime. Yeah, there's a lot of ones that I'm like, I have time. Like, I don't have to play Cole House anytime soon. I have 20, 30 more years.
That's an amazing role I've seen.
Yes, Ragtime is amazing. So yeah, I have a couple, but I have a lot of time for some of them. So I'm good.
That's awesome. What advice are you giving a young Edred who's just enrolled at USD and he's trying to decide what to do with his life? What's your big tip? That's a lot of pressure right now.
Honestly, you know, these questions are always interesting because I'm like, I wouldn't want to say anything to like change anything because I think everything that happened in like my journey and my time to Hamilton and hopefully past Hamilton is happening and has happened for a reason. You know, like I wouldn't want to make it like any easier by saying like, oh, do this. You know, like I needed the struggles to make me better. You know, that being said, I would say take voice lessons earlier rather than later. You know, I would say trust yourself and just keep on your path and keep doing it. I think sometimes like when I was even now, it's not now that I've gotten in Hamilton, all my worries have left, you know, but like trying to have a career in theater, sometimes you're like, am I good enough? Will I ever be at the level I want to be at? You know? And so I think I would just reassure myself, like you're exactly where you need to be. You're doing exactly what you need to do. And just keep working hard. That was my thing. Like I started late compared to a lot of musical theater people who started tapping when they were 2 or 3, you know? But I like to think that I always made up for it by just working harder. You know, they say hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. And that was my motto growing up. And I would tell my younger self that sooner. You know, I would say that and like stick to it, like work hard, start working now.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Were you active in theater at USD?
Yeah, I did a couple shows, not my freshman year, but my sophomore year. My first show was Mrs. Bob Cratchit's Wild Christmas Binge, which was a crazy show. And then I went on to do a couple more, Government Inspector, The Bow Stratagem. I did a good amount of shows there. I met a lot of great people, great people. My best friend Connor Sullivan is a local San Diego actor as well, so I met him there. I met him doing Mrs. Bob Cratchit actually. He was in ASM at the time. Crazy time, because now he's an actor and he's like internationally known. He's crazy. But yeah, definitely good times.
Have you and the cast been rehearsing via Zoom or however?
No, not yet. So we're definitely going to have a rehearsal process, whether it be a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whenever we get back, whenever that is. But we've been meeting weekly just to like talk, you know, and to catch up and to see a lot of people are from New York or have family in New York. So people have had people who are sick. And so just to like, you know, just to catch up and keep up to date with certain situations and just extend a hand because we're all kind of going a little bit stir crazy, not being able to perform. So just to kind of reach out and also like to get different updates. So like this week we were told Houston was canceled, which is kind of hard for a lot of us, you know, so stuff like that, just to keep spirits high. We play games every now and then and share what 3 things we would take on an island, stuff like that, you know, like random stuff just to keep it light. But yeah, we meet every week.
What so in your spare time, what are you doing? What are you binge watching? I think that's an important question to ask.
What am I binge watching? I'm watching all like the old shows that I didn't have time to watch when I was hustling and trying to be in Hamilton. I just finished Community, which was like on years ago. Right. I just finished The Office for the first time, like right before the shutdown happened. I need to watch Ozark season 3. I've watched the first 2 seasons. I haven't watched the newest yet.
I was watching the other day and I wasn't in the right frame of mind and I knew something was about to happen. I had to turn it off.
Yeah, that's the thing.
I don't know what
like,
happened yet.
You have to like set up, be like, okay, I'm good to watch this now because it gets intense. I just finished a series called Dave on FX about a rapper, which is, I think, incredible. I'm playing a lot of video games, to be honest. Okay. Playing a lot of video games, a lot of Apex on PS4. I'm about to play the Final Fantasy VII remake, Kingdom Hearts 3. I have like games on deck that I need to beat. It's just, I have time. I have time now. So it's like now I'm like all the games, all the things.
That's sure. Yeah, you deserve a little bit of downtime, and
Just a little bit.
Yeah. What about coming back to San Diego for any theater that we can look forward to?
As of now, I'm still on tour. You know, technically, I'm still on tour for the foreseeable future. So I don't know when I'll be back in San Diego. I did a Moonlight Cabaret like in-home concert a couple weeks ago. That I think is somewhere either on the Moonlight page or on YouTube, something like that. But yeah, maybe a couple others.
I'll add that in through the magic of editing. So.
Perfect. Yes.
Unless you want to perform right now. I don't want to put you on the spot.
Oh, I did not warm up. I did not warm up for that.
I definitely don't want to do anything to mess with your vocal cords. So the last part of this is 3 easy questions. It's just a way to get to know you. I stole this from a podcast that Alan Alda, who grew up on the stage. Actually, he was in MASH and some other TV shows, but he's got this great podcast called Clear and Vivid. And so he grew up on the stage, and he asked he asked 7 questions. I'm just going to ask 3. So, and I think you've already answered the first one. It's, can you name a book or a movie or a theatrical production that inspired you? And it sounds like that might be In the Heights.
Yeah, In the Heights for sure. That was the one.
That was the one.
And Color Purple, honestly. If we want to add another one, just because I already said In the Heights earlier. Color Purple I saw 2016 with Cynthia Erivo when she was still in it, and it undid me. It was amazing. I don't even have words for it. It wasn't even a theatrical experience. It was like a religious experience. It was something else. Yeah, she's ridiculous. That was incredible. Yeah.
And there's just something about the theater and being in the theater, watching a musical or a play, and to have one of those that just hits you in the chest. You know,
there's nothing like it.
You just can't wait. You want it to start again because you want to watch that whole experience.
Yeah, it's something else. Yeah.
So and everybody I've talked to about Hamilton says that. So thank you for doing that to charge everybody.
Well, thank you. We do our best.
All right. So the next time you and Lynn are getting together, you're meeting up in San Diego, you're off the tour for a little bit. You've got some downtime. Where are you going to take them to eat? What's your
easy? And I've been telling my cast this. I was like, y'all, quarantine in San Diego, and I will take you to Phil's Barbecue. It is the best barbecue. Give them a shout out. I hope they sponsor me. It is the best barbecue in the nation. And I will say that having toured the nation, I have been down south. I have had barbecue from Texas. I have had barbecue from Georgia. I've had barbecue all over the nation. It is the best barbecue. I don't want anybody to say otherwise. Phil's Barbecue, hands down.
All right. I might approach them for a sponsorship of USD Chats with Charles, and I'll share.
I would love that.
If they send me some barbecue.
Please do. I would love that.
All right. Last question. That's pretty easy. What's your favorite spot on the USD campus?
Oh, this is easy too. The reflection pool. Yeah, even after I graduated, I would go there. There was something like when I was there, it was like it provided like a zen for me. You know, whenever I was stressed about anything, I would go there like right at sunset, and just like listen to music and just like let my worries flow out of me and look on the pool. Yeah, that's definitely my spot. I love that place. Yeah.
Well, Edred Utomi, class of 2013. What a treat for me. Say hello to your Torero brother and Torero sister.
I will.
A family of Toreros there. Continued best wishes and keep up the good work. Where can we send people to see you? They can go to they can download the Hamilton app, correct?
They can download the Hamilton app. Yeah, they can go to my Instagram. I post a lot of information and stories and whatever random Hamilton things there, which is just my name, Edred Utomi, at Edred Utomi. Yeah, they can go to the website. They can download the app for any updates, things like that. But I'm awesome. All over.
Well, and only going up, so more and more places.
Hopefully,
so,
fingers crossed.
Edred, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me, what man. A great treat. Great. Thank you very much. I appreciate you.
All right, and that's the USC Chats with Charles with Edred Utomi, class of 2013. Visit alumni.sandiego.edu for more information about USD, and go Toreros.
Woo!